Alright, guys, the previous labs were really interesting and we did really good in that. Over here, now we would talk about using intruder to find hidden endpoints. So once you have identified some initial endpoints, you can use intruder to uncover hidden endpoints. For example, consider a scenario where you have identified the following API endpoint for updating user information. To identify hidden endpoints, you could use burp intruder to find other resources with the same structure. For example, you could add a payload to the update position of the path with the list of common functions such as delete, add, right? When looking for hidden endpoints, use word list based upon common API naming conventions in industry terms. Make sure you also include terms that are relevant to the application based upon your initial reckon, right? Then finding hidden parameters. When you are using API reckon, you may find undocumented parameters that the API supports. You can attempt to use these to change the application's behavior. Burp includes numerous tools that you can use to identify hidden parameters. Burp intruder enables you to automatically discover hidden parameters using a word list of common parameter names to replace existing parameter names. The param miner B app enables you to guess up to 65,000 param names per request. Param miner automatically guesses that are relevant to the application. The content discovery tools enables you to discover content that's it doesn't link to the normal content. So we have a param miner tool. So we need to go to P and see if we can use that tool. Param miner, see here it is. And yep. So here's the paraminer tool. All you need to do is it finds you hidden parameters. If you're you can install it, but for this you need the latest version of burp. My one is not latest, and as I told you, I hardly use any uh these things, right? I hardly use these things, so you can download the latest version for paraminer to be compatible with your things. So moving next, what is the mass assignment vulnerabilities? Mass assignment, also known as auto binding, can inadvertently create hidden parameters. It occurs when software frameworks automatically bind request parameters to field on an internal object. Mass assignment may therefore result in the application supporting parameters that were never intended to be processed by the developer. So they create something, but they were never used by the developer, so they remain unused. That means there are no security measures on that. That means there are no authentication mechanisms on that. So it's a really good endpoint to go in there. So since mass assignment creates parameters from object fields, you can often identify these hidden parameters by manually examining objects returned by the API. So, for example, you are looking at a path known as patch API users, which enables users to update their usernames and emails, including the JSON. But if you look at this particular endpoint for user 123, it returns this particular thing, name and email. That means there is something parameter which is a part of that API request, but the patch method is not using it by default. So if you use this method like is admin is equal to true, you may get admin privileges. That's the purpose of mass assignment. Most probably it would be a lab, right? So it says testing mass assignment, so you do it like this: send a patch request with an invalid is admin. So if you write foo, it might behave differently, because if the application behaves differently, this may suggest that the invalid value impacts the query logic but the valid value doesn't. So yeah, so if you write true, you are an admin, and the developer didn't thought much about this thing, so it's a vulnerability of admin. So exploiting a mass assignment vulnerability. To solve the lab, find exploit mass assignment vulnerability to buy a leather jacket. Let's do that. And always remember, the history is your best friend if you're doing penetration testings. So yeah, just clear it and wait for the lab to load so that it only shows you the history of the lab. So it's really easy for you to look at some things. It's easy for you to know how exactly everything's being loaded. And yeah, so the first thing you should do is go to my account. Okay, write the username over here. That's Wiener Peter, right? Then intercept on, click on login. Now it says login. This is a normal login request. It says 302 found. Then you get this request, get my account ID Wiener. Okay. Now what you should do is try updating the email. Like I am updating this to my email. So it says post my account, change email, a response to this request. Okay. So it says my account ID Vina. That's how it's using this thing, right? But this is not something we are really interested in. We are interested in some other thing. So if you click on this thing again, take this to repeater, you do like this. Okay, get my account change email. So it says method not allowed. That means it's only working with the post method, but we don't know how the APIs are working. And we have literally nothing available for us for the APIs. So first thing you should do is always look at the source code of these things. The source code doesn't contain much of the detail about how things gonna solve is. The next thing you should do is see if there are some JS files. JS files reveals a lot about what could be done, what could not be done. So when you are refreshing something, look at the JS files. Okay, it doesn't contain anything. So we go to the view details thing. We click on view details and it says get product ID 1. We are hardly concerned about this request for now, at least. I click on add to cart and it says post cart, this thing, and get product ID. And okay, it's added. If I go right here, right? Okay, then if you try to remove this particular thing, it says post cart quantity. Let's take this request. Doesn't look much promising to me, but I'm just taking it into consideration to see something. If I say get cart, so what this cart method contains? Nothing, right? So we need to do some things which we are missing, preferably. Why I know we are missing something is that if you look at this particular scenario, they say why mass assignment may result in hidden parameters, how to identify hidden parameters, right? So that means this lab contains something which we are definitely missing. So if you take this as the base request, right, I say okay, API users Wiener, right? So this is my account. Update. We have an update request, we have an update method. It's not working. We have a delete method. It's not working, right? So that means we are missing some path which we need to use for this particular lab. Okay. So if you look at these particular things, if I filter these things by host, So here are all the requests that were moved um, when I was checking something. So if you look at these requests, nothing much in these ones, but if you see further down, I'm finding an entry point into this, because once you get the entry point, it's really easy for you to do things. So this is in this thing checkout.js. There's a lot of things I could see. There's a lot of things. Let's try with this cart functionality. If I add this thing to the cart and okay, I say price is equal to 0. It doesn't show like that. That's fine. But what if I click on place order? Now it says API checkout. This is the endpoint we got this from, this particular thing. So if I just don't move that request further and drop this request to analyze how exactly the web application is working, I might get some hints. So if I say, okay, show me get API checkout, what inform it needs to contain. So it says chosen discount percentage, chosen products. That's fine. Item price, and a lot of things, right? So if this is the structure, if this is a structure, I do it like that. And the item price I say is okay, the item price is 0. I post this request, 201 created. I refresh this thing. Okay. So this might not work. This is not working. Could be possibly two reasons. Could be possibly two reasons. Why I say that is that either the item, we can't create the item price as 0, the first thing, or we should get this thing work here. Okay, it's not working. That means we need to alter this, but in a different way. So if I choose prices, okay, this, but the discount percentage is 100. What if we try to do this? Lab solved. Sometimes you can't change the price, but you can change the price percentage. So if my price, I can't manipulate the price, I can manipulate the percentage of the discount I can get. So I did 100% discount. Technically, that thing is free for me. The lab is solved, right? You don't require hints every time. Be patient, be subtle, test every functionality. You're going to be good with that. Thank you.